Today I'm going to show you how I made this storage bench using pine project panels and power carved this awesome texture into it.
I started this project by breaking down the project panels. If you don't know what a project panel is, they are just glued up pieces of pine to make a larger, wider board, and in this case, it is 16 inches wide by 3/4 of an inch thick. And you can get them at any of your big box stores. Next, over at the router, I cut 3/4 inch wide by 1/2 inch deep rabbets into the tops and bottoms of the side pieces. Rabbets are a stronger joint than a butt joint, and building the box this way and adding some wooden dowel plugs later on will ensure no metal is in the box for when it comes time to power carve. But before I can assemble the box, I need to add tracks or dados for the doors to slide back and forth in. My doors were about 3/16 of an inch thick, so I used a 1/4 inch wide straight bit to cut the dados. The bottom track I cut a 1/4 inch deep, and the top tracks I cut 3/8 of an inch deep. That way I could install the doors after the cabinet was assembled by placing the top of the door in first and then dropping it into the bottom track. And while I was cutting the dados for the tracks, I also cut a dado 1/2 inch in from the back, a 1/4 inch deep on all 4 pieces to hold the back panel. I did it this way to give the piece a more finished look. Assembling the box was a little awkward, but using these parallel clamps really helped me keep everything square. And once the glue was dry, I added 3/8 wooden dowels to help strengthen the joints. If you would like to build yourself a textured storage bench, I have a set of plans linked below. They include step-by-step instructions, dimensions, material lists, and a tool list. And while that was drying, I moved on to making the legs or the feet for this project. I used a white 2x4 because the color was close to pine and ripped it down into 1 1/2 inch strips. Then cut out 4 4-inch pieces and 4 11-inch pieces. On the 11-inch pieces, I added 1 1/2 inch pocket holes to the ends, and then using 2 1/2 inch pocket hole screws, I assembled a U section of the feet. Once I had that, I countersunk 1/2 inch holes about 3/4 of an inch deep. These holes are how I'm going to attach the feet to the box. After laying out where I wanted the feet, I attached them to the box using 1 1/4 inch screws with finish washers. And then lastly added the other 11 inch section using 2 1/2 inch pocket hole screws. Now comes the fun part. Well, at least the fun part for the first hour. The next 3 were a little tedious, but oh so worth it. I used a Sabertooth 1 inch sphere burr in yellow or fine grit on my die grinder and slowly started adding bubbles and then kind of mushed those bubbles together. I did learn to move around a lot on the piece and approach it from different directions and angles so that the carving looked really random. I also tried making random, perfectly spaced round bubbles and then going back and filling those in to make it like a mushy hammer texture. You pretty much can't go wrong with this, and it's a matter of preference of what you like. To continue to carve, I want to thank Sabertooth Power Carving Tools for sponsoring this video. I love all their tools I have used so far and like that they offer a ton of different sizes, shapes, and grits. They have me addicted to power carving, and I'm looking forward to adding more texture to pieces in the future. Once I had the entire piece carved, I did some light sanding with a soft sponge. I didn't get all the grooves super smooth at this point, just more got rid of any sharp edges. Then I used a pre-stain conditioner on the wood, stained it in a custom mix, and then I applied 3 liberal coats of a water-based polyurethane in a matte finish. I sanded between each of these coats, and after the last coat, I was left with a soft, textured surface. Last step was cutting the doors. I used 3/16 inch thick hardboard for the doors because I like the smooth surface it had on one side. I recommend cutting these to fit your piece and not doing it ahead of time. I snuck up on the cut to get a nice snug fit. Once I had them where I liked them, I removed them and got them painted along with the back panel that was already installed on the bench. Then from some leftover pine, I cut 3/4 inch by 8 inch strips for the door pulls. I laid out where I wanted these and then attached them from inside of the doors using 5/8 screws with finish washers. And with the doors installed, this textured storage bench was complete.
Well, that's it. I hope you liked this build. And if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. While you're there, tap that notification bell so you'll be alerted next time one of my videos come out. Want to keep up with what I'm working on right now? Make sure you're following me on Instagram @TheAwesomeOrange. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more DIY projects and building awesome adventures. Have an awesome day.